Welcome to Shift by BACARDI.
My name is Curzon Price from Botanist Bar in Vancouver, and this is my shift. Now I want to thank BACARDI for giving bartenders like myself the opportunity to continue doing what we love. Of course, during this lockdown, we don't have the opportunity to be making drinks for guests and people like yourself, but being stuck inside for weeks on end means that on a couple of days, I think it might be an essential service to myself to mix a drink in the evening. So this section is called Secret Syrups. We're going to show you some tips, tricks, secrets, and some of the mysteries of bartending, little tools that we might employ ourselves that you can simply do at home yourself. I've started off by making a simple syrup. It gets its name because of how simple it is to make. It is equal parts water and sugar. The best way is to do it by the same weight, so 100 grams of sugar and 100 grams of boiling water. If you don't have scales, you can also use the same size cup. Just be sure to fill them both to the brim each time to get close to accurate reading. So now my sugar's dissolved, I'm gonna add in 20 grams of green tea. I'm gonna put this back on the stove at a low heat. We're not boiling, we're not reducing, we just wanna keep it at a 1-to-1 ratio, just with a little bit of heat to help extract that tea. We're gonna leave that on for 10 minutes. So for the acidification section of this, what we wanna do is create the same sour sensation as lemon or lime juice with none of the flavor and none of the aroma. It's an interesting way into tricking our mind into finding a sense of balance, but letting some of the profiles of either of these two shine out a little bit more. So in here I've got a blend of acids. I keep them pre-blended because I use them quite often. It's 9 grams of citric acid, 6 grams of malic acid, 0.2 grams of tartric acid, and 1 gram of ascorbic acid. There's also 1 gram of salt in here as well. But I'm gonna be putting a total, all that cumulatively is about 17 grams to 260 grams of water. I'll give you guys a list of the recipes here at the end. 260 grams of water, and just stirring to incorporate. Now this solution here is gonna be super sour, about as sour as lemons, but with none of the flavor, none of the aroma, and just a way of letting the liquor that we're pouring shine through in terms of its profile. So this, we're just gonna set aside for the time being. So now we've got our acid solution prepared, and we've got our green tea syrup prepared. This is a green tea 1-to-1 syrup, and this is the acidification. So we're gonna add these now in equal parts. This, in theory, should be as sour as this is sweet. So meeting in equal parts means that we should meet somewhere in the middle to a balanced modifier. So I'm gonna be adding 50 grams, and then 50 grams of the green tea. Now I want there to be a little bit of florality in this cocktail, so I'm going to be adding 2 drops of an orange blossom. So now what we have married in this bottle here is our sweet and our sour in equal parts. So that's just 1 touch that we need with these 2 elements of the cocktail to create a really well-rounded, rich flavor profile. So like I said earlier, I'm quite a fan of prepping in advance, making sure we have everything that we're ready to receive either our guests at service or a guest at a dinner party that we'll be throwing home when all this lockdown's over. Sometimes maybe it's just easier to even have a pre-batch cocktail in the fridge, do all the hard work once, and then you're good to go for the rest of the night, or the rest of the week, up to you. So what we're gonna do now is break this down into 3 different parts. We've got our alcoholic components, our non-alcoholic syrup, and then water for dilution. So we're adding essentially equal parts of each of these. The alcohol breakdown is 45 ml Bombay Sapphire, 15 ml Martini Bitter per cocktail. So that comes up to 2 ounces. We're then going to pour 2 ounces of the syrup because we have 1 ounce of sugar and 1 ounce of acid in there. And then we're going to match that with 2 ounces of water. So let's get these all in together, starting off with beautiful Bombay Sapphire. I'm making 2 cocktails here. I'm pouring 45 ml 2 different times. Next up, Martini Bianco. I'm pouring 15 ml times 2. Now I'm pouring the secret syrup that we made earlier. Sencha green tea and an acid situation. So here we have, again, 60 ml per drink or 120 ml of just chilled water. Awesome, so our cocktail's all in here. we're gonna get part of the charging utensils in there, create a seal, screw the top on here. Now these are really cool, and honestly they're not that expensive. They're really robust, they last for absolutely years, and it's a great way of making either carbonated non-alcoholic cocktails at home, alcoholic cocktails as well of course, or any sort of form of flavored soda or even just regular soda yourself. We're going to take these cartridges here. This is just compressed CO2 in. Pop it in, line it up nice and straight, and as you twist, you get a little bit of tightness, and then that's one full charge in there. Because we want extra carbonation on 2 cocktails here, we're going to put a second charge in. Make sure everything's tightened up quite nicely. You don't want to be wasting these cartridges. We don't need to shake, but it doesn't feel like you're making a cocktail unless you give it a little bit of a shake anyway. So that's it, our cocktail's all in, it's pre-diluted. This actually does a pretty good job at getting really cold really quickly as it discharges. So there's gonna be a slight chill on this, but we wanna make sure we're pouring over some really nice good quality ice as well. This is a simple soda, and I'm gonna top it off with these great little garnishes here. These are little grapefruit diamonds for our regal queen, Victoria, on the bottle herself. Now we're just gonna give this a gentle squeeze. Charge the cocktail straight in. Now I know this can feel like a lot of work, a lot of effort. Absolutely worth it when you get these really cool cocktails, bright carbonated. I think it's quite special to have the aesthetic with a simple soda with tons of flavor. Tons of flavor, buckets of character, plenty of effervescence. So this is my cocktail, an ode to the Queen, sipping of tea back home. And since you've all been out of my life, this is my cocktail, Sencha Bean Gone. Thanks Kelly Clarkson, this one's for you. Thank you all so much for tuning in to my shift. I want to thank BACARDI for providing this opportunity for bartenders like myself to keep doing what we're doing and showing a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes of our day-to-day lives. BACARDI is very kindly offered to tip out 5 different bartenders of our choices, each of which will receive $100. My choices go to Sam Thornton from Botanist Bar, Robin Cleaver, one of Vancouver's best bartenders in my humble opinion, Erin Mayer over in Victoria, Thomas Yeo of Atwater Cocktail Club in Montreal, and Brett Thiessen up in Kelowna in the Okanagan. Thanks very much guys, cheers BACARDI, this outro is on you.